Excellent armaments, operator. Please return
Covered in blood.
safe and sound.
Lovely. Everything in its place.
Alright, so based on what I could see, I don't know about these people who made these online streaming videos, to be honest with you. Some dude had it at 50% energy, cast his either his second or his fourth. Um, he didn't have maxed um, arcane energized, but yet he is still able to cast more than one ability. I just cast the fourth ability, I was completely out of energy. Then I tried to cast the second. Now I have to go back and look at his videos, but if he cast that fourth ability first rather than the third, then there's something wrong with that picture at 50% energy. Because, like I've seen before, if you cast the third ability before, if you cast the third ability before you cast the fourth ability, you won't get energy back. Or maybe I'm just seeing it the wrong way. But either way, once you cast the fourth ability, that's 150 energy at 50% efficiency. You won't have enough energy to even cast the third ability so you could recover energy. So I don't know what the hell some of these people online are doing, or maybe they're just into bullshitting all their entire freaking lives. But regardless of what the situation is, I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to see what's going on, and I'm going to see how much energy I could get. Now I'm using the Axomati for this test just to see how it's going, to simulate the whole mission. Now I know 50% energy, it seems to be ass. So when someone is actually at 50% energy, even at 80% energy is ass. So if an enemy is moving, and then you cast this ability, you only have this left for like. Wait, let me restart that again. We do that again. So this ability here is 7 seconds. Once I cast it, it lasts for about 7 seconds at 120. And this is at 30. So I'll wait till this run out. Its duration period is period is 45 seconds, which is pretty long. But let's see. Wait till that's completely over. The waves of energy. Maybe I'll just take it off. Yeah, it's over now. Alright, so I cast this. 4. Then I cast this. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 seconds. That's 3 seconds at 80% for a duration of 44. So I guess that's all you really need, to be honest with you. It'll stay on for a while. So the third ability is not that much of a problem. What is a problem is if you take off. Here's the thing. If you take off Streamline and keep it just at 50, even if you're at 125 duration, in this Warframe game, this game is Warframe if no one's ever played it before. This is what I'm doing. This is Warframe. Now, if I cast it now at 50, it's completely gone. So I'm still trying to wonder how the hell that guy did a third ability to get off those energies for return energy if he doesn't have any energy whatsoever. So at 50% energy without an arcane energized in the slot over here is pointless because he can't cast his third ability to receive energy in return. Now if he had a Streamline on, that'll be something, but I saw him having Blind Rage and Transient Fortitude on at 50% energy. And maybe it was the duration he had on that was at 152. See if that changed anything. No, it's still 150, and this is at 32. So let's try this again. Nope, it's completely gone. So I might have to look back at this video to see what that's about. if he doesn't carry Arcane Energize inside of his Warframe over here, and he doesn't have any efficiency mod like Streamline or Fleeting in here. Now this is good because he has this, and this to get more energy in return, but if he can't cast his third ability, he can't get any energy in return. So this is actually bad. He needs to have at least at a base 100 in order to cast that third ability, in order to get any source of energy in return on the critical hits towards the head. These two together will get you more critical hits, and this precision will also get you more critical hits if you max it out. But the thing is, depending on type of weapon you have, even let's say I have Axomati at 84, that's not great. But if you take this off, and you increase prime, put this on, it's now at 106, at 6 times the multiplier at a 30% firing rate. Now, in Warframe, if the firing rate increase towards your crit chance, so the more you're hitting, the more the damage is multiplying. And the more higher your damage multiplier is, it's calculating higher and get closer towards that critical chance ratio. So the higher your critical chance ratio is, the faster it is to hit that red crit marker and get the amount of damage you want from that marker. But if your damage is weak, it'll be harder for you to hit at the 100% critical chance marker with 6 times the multiplier. What also is a factor in this case is also the fact that if you don't have a quick reload speed towards that, as that number of increasing towards that critical chance is slowly going down because you're not firing fast enough, or you're reloading during the time that timer to that critical chance is going down. The moment you start firing again, it starts to go back up again, and it goes all the way. It hits the red crit all the way to the top. The moment you start reload, it starts going down again, and boom, you start shooting again. It starts going right back up again. It stays in the middle, go back up, then reload again. It goes back down. Or if your firing rate is slow, it takes much longer for you to get there. So your firing rate and your reload speed are very important when it comes towards getting critical chance. But if your firing rate is pretty good, say 13, is fine. But if you want faster firing rate, you can put that on as well. The only difference is with faster firing rate is that you will now have to choose between one or two things. Choose to be having a multiplier at 6 or at 3, because now you have faster reload and faster firing rate, which gets you to your critical chance much faster. But the damage won't be multiplied. It's the damage, a high damage multiplier. The damage is weak. So I don't think that's really the issue here. The whole issue is to get towards your critical chance much faster, even if your damage is weak. So with faster firing and faster reloading, as long as I have a decent amount of damage, I should be able to get to it much faster. So what I want to have on here, I actually need to format this correctly. I believe I might have formatted it wrong. I need to put Magnum Force on here. Increase it, and then have this on as well. And with that, I'll have this at 826, which isn't good. I prefer to have it at 100. At 1000. But with this critical chance here, I want to keep this up to 100. I want to keep the damage multiplier. If I can't get to the 6 to 3, but the best is to have it at 3. That's why I keep going back and forth, checking the mods. Because once I cast the 4th ability on Harrow, it has the ability to have on head 4 times the headshot and 2.33 multiplier, critical damage multiplier. So that's added 2 times more damage multiplier towards the gun that I'm using. And if I have these two on, that's also increase your chances, as well as this increase your chances. So that's what I'm doing with regards to this. So let me see. I I need to cast all 3 abilities because this build is for survival. If you can only cast 2 abilities, the 4th increase your critical chance, and the 3rd you won't be able to cast your first ability, which is to keep your enemy in place. So at 100, that's still not good. But at the same time, that's not the main point. You can get it off because you don't need to cast that much on the 3rd ability. You just need to cast it to get like good 3 or 4 seconds, and then the rest you cast for your first ability. So what you would do first is cast your 4th, then cast your 1st, and then cast your 3rd. You run out of energy, and then kill your enemy as fast as possible with the weapon. But if the enemy doesn't die fast enough as possible with the weapon, hit the critical chance marker, you won't get that much energy back in return. So that's the issue there. I need to have, if I'm going to get energy back in return, enough, like for prime flow on or just plain old flow on. And rolling guards to keep me healthy. So this is the build you want for using Harrow with a pistol. It could be any Warframe, any Harrow using a pistol. This is not a Harrow with a melee weapon. This is not a Harrow with a primary. This is a Harrow with a pistol. Now, typical people put Harrow with enemy radar to see where enemies are. But this is simply a pistol build. So what I'll do right now, see, I have enough. And that's a decent amount of energy I got in return now. And I do the same to these enemies as well. See, even that's not good, because look, all the enemies aren't dead yet. I'm not completely in with the energy I need. It doesn't work. So when I see certain people use Harrow builds and use certain guns and weapons, what they're doing is they're using specific weapons and specific guns in order to get up that energy they need to return so you can keep casting abilities. But what I'm doing is using any weapons and any guns in order to get up the most amount of energy I possibly can in return, not specific weapons and specific guns that do critical chance and damage. So I'm very suspicious when I'm looking at videos of people who kill enemies fast. So the only thing I could say that might be the issue is that I'm using the Unair. That might be the main issue. In fact, that's probably the major issue more than anything. So this is for guns. This is for overall damage. This is for simply for Eidolons. You use this more for Eidolons. And this one is, let's see, do I want to use this one? This one is for shields, and this one is for melee. We're not going melee, we're not going energy, we're going for more like shields. But this is more like for shields for using your operator to keep your Warframe in defense. It says Void mode heals 25% of health. It also costs additional 20 blah blah blah. Void mode creates a shield that grows up to 12 meters and can blah 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 blah. This cost, and then void dash. Allies hit by void dash grants immunity for damage. And void dash also no longer depletes enemy, instead it emits and shockwave blah blah blah. So this is a very good one to have on Harrow. And this is a good one to actually have damage towards weapons if you want to get damage out of elemental damage out of your weapons. This is also a good one to have when you want to do critical strikes, or cloaking consumes energy, and it says void mode creates blah 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 blah. But this is more like for using your operator rather than your Warframe. So the only benefit that will come from this one more than anything is the elemental damage. And base damage, base physical damage, and elemental damage, which will be towards your weapons as well. So we'll see the difference between, after testing. I'm pretty sure this will be the better one, the Vazarin one. So that was Ynir, and that was using Void Blast, has a summoner list, blah blah blah. This was emits amount of blast. Its base standard is 100 damage taken to return to the attacker. That's just 100% damage, which is only works every now and again. Use void dash through. So this is all about dashing up, and then this is one is increasing Warframe armor. But these things don't last for a very long time. We need an actual focus school that works all the time, regardless. Once where operators used mostly for defense purposes against either Eidolon or against enemy, and this one works perfectly. So I just got a void dash with my operator back and forth. But the thing is, with void dashing with your operator back and forth towards your Warframe and through your Warframe, it also takes away from whatever timers on your Warframe to do his ability and cast and so on and so forth on enemy, which is fine and all. But the benefits is more towards the guns. But in long survival, the Vazarin will work the best more than anything else. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to these guys over here and do the exact same thing. Not exactly smooth. I think the main thing was the duration is fine, the efficiency is fine at 100, the range is also fine, and strength is also fine. And since this is a pistol build, these two are fine and this is fine. So everything is fine. Now I'm going to put it on a mode. See, this is why I don't really like the Vazarin, because I'm trying to do quick kills while stunning enemies. The Vazarin is solely for keeping shields on you for longer survival, but the whole period of it may not work as great as I want it to, but we'll see. So we'll just take off this, then finish these enemies up. See, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. The moment you give your operator time to make a decision, going back and forth, you gotta move fast. Even for a split second, against enemies that are shooting at you rapid fire, that becomes a problem. So I guess that's why Bazarin is the one that makes more sense rather than Madarai, because if you slip out of it fast enough, you'll be able to get some type of immunity from it. But if the time on holding enemies is too weak, it'll become an issue. That's why I like the 150-52. I really don't like the actual duration of not the duration. I really don't like the whole 9 seconds, but what can you do? I think this is the best one overall for Harrow. It's the best one, the most effective one that works better than any other one, to be honest with you. So that one works out. As you can see, there were like 4, maybe 5 enemies remaining, and I didn't get KO'd. It won't work that well when it comes to like a group of enemies, one left, right, and eventually I'll probably run out of energy. However, if I stay in a safe area, if I don't use my fort so much, if I use the first and the third ability, grab enough energy, then use the fourth. If I use Rolling Guard more than anything, and then use Operator more than anything, I'll be able to survive much more. So that's what I'm going to do again. This is one last time to check this build and see how it works. And you see, it still doesn't work good. It still doesn't work that good. Even if you go back and forth, go fast as possibly can. Even if you go fast as you possibly can, it still doesn't work that good. At enemies that are 167 or higher. Like maybe if you have a different type of pistol, it will work. But even with coaction drift on, even with pistol on, even with precision on, Even if you have this as maybe if you have this at a higher ratio, but I doubt it. And even if you have additional uh arcane on, I think the nothing will change. It will still be the same. You will still get the same situation that will happen. Nothing specific will happen. I mean, if you remove, let's say I remove flow and I put on streamline just to conserve energy instead of having a large energy pool. That's just an additional 30% energy rather compared to like 400 and something energy pool. Or let's say I just put on regular flow. That's just 300 more energy than the standard base energy of 150. So if I cast it, I'll be able to cast abilities more than, I think flow is far better, even though prime flow is far to me is much more better. It's just this doesn't play out right, man. No matter what, I mean, sure-footed, they can't knock me down with sure-footed. And rolling guard saves me from from dying immediately, like immediately. But the whole thing is to get enough energy and to keep casting energy without running out of energy while I'm fighting these enemies. And it just doesn't work the way I want it to using that standard mode. Like the mode that I see other people play, having at 152 and 100 with, like, say 155, it just doesn't work out that way. Like, even no matter how fast you're going, you're going to run out of energy. They're doing something else on their website. Something else is playing out, not the way it's playing out. Like, even if, like, say, maybe it's because my focus school, Vazarin isn't completely maxed out with everything. Like, if I put all this on, but I doubt that's the main situation. Increased operator health. Maybe that's the whole ring. Maybe that's the whole thing. Maybe that's what it is. I believe that's the only thing that makes sense in this situation, because if I switch to Mad Riot, which is pretty much maxed out, everything's maxed out for more damage, it doesn't help at all. But if I maybe go to Vazarin and put that on, it would help to a significant amount. But I don't think it will do that much, create that much difference. Void Blast can charge within the manifest, blah, 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 blah. The whole point is the Vazarin at school helps you, but it doesn't help you a large amount when it comes to energy. What has to do with energy is your conservation of energy and use of energy. And that doesn't happen at 100% energy. 100% standard efficiency energy. I notice when these people are doing these videos, they're racking up stuff and damaging enemies from one side to the next. But it doesn't seem to make sense to me because I'm actually playing it, and before I even take out two sides of the group on the left side and the right side, I could take out the group in the front. I'm already out of energy from defeating all the 67 enemies, which each are individually 167 enemies with using energy, and half of the group of one side using my energy and my strength as well as the operator mode for pistol ability. So it really depends on the weapon you're using. It depends on your focus school being maxed out. So the thing is, these guys that make these videos do not understand or do not state within the videos is that they don't state that their stuff is already maxed out. They don't state that you really have to have a significant amount of energy pool in order to resist these enemies. Because even if you have duration set up or less efficiency, more strength, less efficiency, it really doesn't work that way. I've been playing this for like quite some, like more than 2 hours, trying to find out the proper build for Harrow, and I was at 254 with 100 energy return, and you have to always get a critical shot on the head to get that energy back, like always at all times. And this Exomati isn't no chump gun either. I mean, its critical chances are at 100, and I was aiming directly towards the head. I even switched to a multiplier of let's say a multiplier of 6 with a prime target cracker to get out what I needed, and it still pretty much caused the same situation. Nothing that great was solved. Now, the reason I was able to kill those enemies fast with a standard gun without getting a lot of critical hits, because I was just shooting fast enough, and that's pretty much all. But I wasn't getting all the critical hits I wanted. So it really depends on damage and dealing out the critical hits and getting the multiplier, not so much of the firing rate. I mean, the firing rate would keep up the multiplier count, but as you can see, it was mostly damage. So I really got to format this to the correct one I wanted to. One more this. But even if I did that, it won't change a thing. Let's say even if I did that, I'll be able to kill the enemies in the front moving towards me and the enemies to the side, to the left or the right side. But that would still leave the last remaining enemies on the other side, which by that time I'm pretty sure I would be run out of energy. Or even if I kill the majority of them, I would still have like one or two of them still left alive before I run out of energy completely. So I don't know what the hell these guys are talking about who make these videos. All I know is that even if what they're saying is true, what they don't tell you is that they have their focus school maxed out completely, and they have certain ribbons on their gun. And if they say they don't have certain ribbons on their guns to give them additional boost regular, that means the weapon that they're using doesn't require a ribbon because it already has a high enough critical chance or critical multiplier that it does not require. So when they do certain missions or certain videos of people doing certain missions using certain guns with Harrow or certain melee weapons with Harrow, certain primaries with Harrow, they specifically select that one because they know that one will kill the enemies fast enough to get them to the critical hits they need, to get them to survive longer as much as they can. But that doesn't work with every gun. I specifically did this mission and found a ribbon to put on the axiomatic, even with the ribbon on, higher critical chance, to put on the axiomatic to increase it, and with a multiplier. And it basically comes down to the fact that the axiomatic doesn't have the damage amount to deal out to get that critical out that I need to get the critical out. Because even if I do Harrow's fourth ability to increase that from 2.33, even if I increase that to about 3, it still won't get the amount of damage out on a weapon that's low damage type, even at 100. But with a before prior to reloading. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, is in the video itself. So, whatever these guys are on, either they don't fill you in on every detailed information of how to do something. They just tell you, like, oh, you got to do this. This is the build for Harrow. Put this build on. Blah, blah, blah. Cast ability at such time. Keep it moving, keep it moving. And then they show you the weapon that you have to use and what you have to put on a weapon. Make sure you have this and this. And then they do it. And then they tell you the focus school you have to have on in order to do it. But when you look at the focus school and they point toward focus school, you look at their videos, they already max out their focus school. The weapons they're using, they already maxed out the weapon and have a specific ribbon on, disposition on for that weapon. And regardless, if your focus school isn't maxed out with the disposition in your ribbon, you don't have a ribbon on your weapon, or your weapon doesn't have that high crit chance or damage value, it won't work for Harrow. So they use specific weapons, and they use a fully focused school, and use it with Harrow. They're not using every random different type of weapons or any type of weapons, even low damage weapons with Harrow, to see how long they could go before they die. They're just using specific ones to kill a maximum amount of enemies. The enemies die to get an unkillable Harrow or a God Harrow or whatever it is. but that doesn't work with every specific weapons. Like it doesn't work with axiomatic. All right, so when you watch a video or anyone watches a video, not just of this, anyone else's video, you got to know that they're just selling you half the truth. Because if you throw on something like, say, um, the Aclic, you will get more damage out of it, but it has shit critical and more status. Maybe you will be able to kill the target faster, but the problem with the Axomat or the Aclic is that its recoil is crazy and it is a semi-auto, so you have to keep pressing the button over and over and over again. It's not an automatic, so that would be a pain in the ass, and it's not ideal for using with Harrow whatsoever at all. You want something that's rapid fire with Harrow, have high damage and high critical chance, and have good reload time. So I am very suspicious of people who make videos, and those videos of when it comes to how to make a god of any build, the type of weapon they're using, the type of focus school that has they maxed out their focus school or not, and the Warframe, the energy type that they're using, efficiency type they're using towards the Warframe before they have to cast it more than once. Because even at 155 duration with a 100, you'll be able to use all your abilities and you'll be able to kill your enemy. Say, put on flow or prime flow. If I was to do this, I will be able to kill my enemies, all my enemies standing in front of me with a Harrow, fighting level 167 enemies, using every single abilities. Because I don't need to cast too much on the third ability. But the problem is to keep up that consistency over and over again and get a value return over and over again while you're getting shot at. And while you're getting shot at, you're actually getting energy drained from your body to heal you in return. So if your main, if you don't have an arcane, not only to return shield back to you, if you don't have an secondary arcane like arcane victory to give you back health in return while you're getting shot at, that drains your energy, or you don't have something like arcane energize, which is pretty much useless to Harrow, or anything to return you back energy, because your Warframe drains energy to heal you in the process when you're taking heavy damage. Or if you don't have a mod like, say, Equalizer, or Equilibrium, which returns like health pickups give 100% energy. If an enemy doesn't drop a health, you won't get any energy in return. So that's a huge gamble, and you don't want to be gambling when you're trying to survive. So this build works, but it doesn't work the way that certain streamers say it works out. And you can say, well, maybe you're shit, or maybe you're not good at playing. But the fact is, I know for a fact that most people they play on PC. And when they say they play on PlayStation, and they use, like, say, 50% efficiency and a higher strength value, that doesn't work out. That doesn't play out. I play this like multiple times over and over again today, using various different things to get a pistol and a coaxium drift strike on a pistol build. So what makes them, or make these people who play this game able to defeat every single enemies is solely based on the damage type that comes out of the weapon, mainly the damage that comes out of weapon, and how high the status and how high the critical chance is on that weapon itself. Because if they're using a lower level melee weapon, or a lower level secondary weapon, or lower level primary weapon, they'll get killed. They'll get killed over and over again before they kill the last 3 or the last 4 of an enemy. So I don't really do bullshit, man. And I could tell that this is the standard build you want for using a Harrow when you're fighting level 1 to level 100 enemies. But once you go over to level 167, that's a different story. I might cancel that out completely and make sure I have at least an additional a 30% efficiency, which doesn't really amount to much of anything, but that last bit of efficiency will be the difference between life and death, and it'll work out far better than if you have 152 duration count, because you'll be able to cast at least your third ability one more time to get energy in return, or at least cast your first ability and your third ability. Cast your first ability, which is 17, and your third ability, which is also 17. Cast both of these at the same time to stop the enemies and to get energy in return, so you could, like, for those last bit of enemies to get that last bit of energy in return. Now, you may not need precision on, because it's pretty much useless in this equation and it doesn't add up. You may want to have barrier on to give you more barrier, or if you're really stuck in the situation in a rut and you want more fire rate towards your secondary weapon, on reload you could do 25% more damage. But do you really want to do that on reload, or do you really want to, like, every time you do on headshot you get 200 damage? I would do that instead with a maxed out precision. That works far better, and you kill your enemies far quicker. So this makes more sense. And of course, Arcane Aegis is the best thing to have there on shield damage. So that works out. That makes the most sense in this situation. So this build, or this build, or this build. That's what makes more sense to me. Now, I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't I add on more vitality? I could have taken a couple more shots, but I don't think it would make much difference in the end. If you run out of energy, how much vitality you'll have? You'll be limping all the way towards the end with a little piece of health, trying to survive in a mission. Would that be helpful towards you? Yes, it would. And if that's the case, all you got to do is do this. Don't depend solely on this. It will take you much longer to get up to that critical chance. But if you're not worried about that, you just keep this on, and then you throw in your health. If you're so worried about health, because 300 health, that's how fast. The reason why I died so quickly is because I didn't have a health on. So this is what you really want on more than anything. So this is the build you would go for more than anything. Alright, you have this on, and this on, and this on. Or you remove the health, you put this on, and you put Coaction Drift. But this is the pistol build right here for the pistol. This, pistol amp, Coaction Drift, and maxed out Arcane Precision. Or, if you're not 100% sure, you're kind of guessy, this, and this. This is how it goes. And then pick the specific type of secondary weapon that you know will kill enemies fast. Because the Axiomatic is good, but it's not great. You want a better secondary weapon. And yeah, that's all I could think of right now. That's the one that makes the most sense. And with Harrow, this makes the at 100 for fourth, 25, 50, and 25. I see how much of a jump that is in energy, but it doesn't matter. That's still decent with this. You can still get off all 4 abilities if you use the fourth and then the third after, or use the fourth and then the second, and then do 3 seconds towards the third. Or in this case, as soon as you see the enemies, use the first ability, and then use the second. Get enough energy, and the moment you start taking heavy damage, do the fourth. But the whole point of using the fourth is to get more multipliers, so you will need to be able to do the fourth ability. So this, then grab enemies, and then do this. And it works. So this works. This works perfectly. As long as you have 152, 100, that works perfectly. If you're scared, you can always switch this out for efficiency of 32 more. But duration period, they'll latch onto an enemy before you kill them. It's much better using this, especially if you have a weaker weapon. You can switch it up for streamline, but this build is pretty much good. This is a good build. This is a very good build for Harrow. The weapon is shit. The weapon doesn't work as great. But it also, what enhances the weapon is based on the focus school you're part of. And this focus school is specific for Harrow, is for him to have more shields and protective shields rather than Madurai damage. But if you're going for damage, you put Madurai on. But if you're going for protection for low endurance run, the Barrison will be what you will need. I haven't tried it with Zenuric, but I probably won't because I'm pretty much done with this video. I saw what I need to see with regards to Harrow build, the all-rounder Harrow build, because that's what this was. This was an all-rounder Harrow build, and I had to put them up against enemies that are 167 in order to get the build that I need. So now I know this is a decent build. And if I ever want more energy, all I have to do is throw on Streamline. But this is a decent build all around. And if I ever want more damage and not worried about health, I just switch this off here and put this here. Because now, to beat this game, you don't need to fight level 167 enemies. You only need to fight up to level 100 enemies. As long as you got that 152, you're solid. And with this and this and this, you're solid. So that's all you need.